Bible in a Year, the Message Version, January 28 or Day 28, Exodus chapter 5, verse 22 through chapter 7, verse 25. Moses went back to God and said, "My master, why are you treating this people so badly, and why did you ever send me? From the moment I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, things have only gotten worse for this people. And rescue? Does this look like rescue to you?" God said to Moses, "Now you'll see what I'll do to Pharaoh. With a strong hand, he'll send them out free. With a strong hand, he'll drive them out of his land." God continued speaking to Moses, reassuring him, "I am God. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as the strong God, but by my name, God, I am present. I was not known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the country in which they lived as sojourners. But now I've heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians continue to enslave, and I've remembered my covenant. Therefore, tell the Israelites, I am God. I will bring you out from under the cruel, hard labor of Egypt. I will rescue you from slavery. I will redeem you, intervening with great acts of judgment. I'll take you as my own people, and I'll be God to you. You'll know that I am God, your God, who brings you out from under the cruel, hard labor of Egypt. I'll bring you into the land that I promised to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and give it to you as your own country. I am God." But when Moses delivered this message to the Israelites, they didn't even hear him. They were that beaten down in spirit by the harsh slave conditions. Then God said to Moses, "Go and speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he will release the Israelites from his land." Moses answered God, "Look, the Israelites won't even listen to me. How do you expect Pharaoh to? And besides, I stutter." But God again laid out the facts to Moses and Aaron regarding the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he again commanded them to lead the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of the tribes. The sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn: Hanok, Palu, Hezron, Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. The sons of Simeon: Jemiel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zorar, and Saul, the son of the Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the son of Levi in the order of their birth: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. The sons of Gershon by family: Lib, Nishimel. The sons of Kohath: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uzel. Kohath lived to be 133. The sons of Merari: Malai, Mushi. These are the sons of Levi in the order of their birth. Amram married his aunt Jochebed, and she had Aaron and Moses. Amram lived to be 137. The sons of Izhar: Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Uzil: Mishel, Elzaphan, and Situr. Aaron married Isheba, the daughter of Amminadab, and sister of Nahashon, and she had Nadab and Abihu, Elzar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah: Isser, Elkan, and Abasaph. These are the families of the Korahites. Aaron's son Eleazar married one of the daughters of Putel, and she had Phinehas. These are the heads of the Levite families, family by family. This is the Aaron and Moses whom God ordered. Bring the Israelites out of the land of Egypt, clan by clan. These are the men, Moses and Aaron, who told Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to release the Israelites from Egypt. And that's how things stood when God next spoke to Moses in Egypt. God addressed Moses, saying, I am God. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I say to you. And Moses answered, Look at me. I stutter. Why would Pharaoh listen to me? God told Moses, Look at me. I'll make you as a god to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You are to speak everything I command you, and your brother Aaron will tell it to Pharaoh. Then he will release the Israelites from his land. At the same time, I'm going to put Pharaoh's back up and follow it up by fulfilling Egypt with signs and wonders. Pharaoh is not going to listen to you, but I will have my way against Egypt and bring out my soldiers, my people, the Israelites, from Egypt by mighty acts of judgment. The Egyptians will release that I am God when I step in and take the Israelites out of their country. Moses and Aaron did exactly what God commanded. Moses was 80 and Aaron was 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Then God spoke to Moses and Aaron. He said, When Pharaoh speaks to you and says, Prove yourself, perform a miracle, then tell Aaron, Take your staff and throw it down in front of Pharaoh. It will turn into a snake. Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did what God commanded. Aaron threw his staff down in front of Pharaoh and his servants, and it did turn into a snake. Pharaoh called in his wise men and sorcerers. The magicians of Egypt did the same thing by their spells. Each man threw down his staff, and they all turned into snakes. But then Pharaoh's staff swallowed their staffs. Yet Pharaoh was as stubborn as ever. He wouldn't listen to them, just as God had said. God said to Moses, Pharaoh is a stubborn man. He refuses to release my people. First thing in the morning, go and meet Pharaoh as he goes down to the river. At the shore of the Nile, take the staff that turned into a snake and say to him, God, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you with this message. Release my people so they can worship me in the wilderness. So far, you haven't listened. This is how you'll know that I am God. I'm going to take this staff that I'm holding, strike this Nile River water. The water will turn into blood. The fish in the Nile will die. The Nile will stink, and the Egyptians won't be able to drink the Nile water. God said to Moses, Tell Aaron, take your staff and wave it over the waters of Egypt, over its rivers, its canals, its ponds, and all its bodies of water, so that they turn into blood. There'll be blood everywhere in Egypt, even in the pots and pans. Moses and Aaron did exactly as God commanded them. Aaron raised his staff and hit the water in the Nile with Pharaoh and his servants watching. All the water in the Nile turned into blood. The fish in the Nile died. The Nile stank, and the Egyptians couldn't drink the Nile water. The blood was everywhere in Egypt. But the magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their incarnations. Still, Pharaoh remained stubborn. He wouldn't listen to them as God had said. He spun around and went home, never giving it a second thought. But all the Egyptians had to dig inland from the river for water because they couldn't drink the Nile water. 7 days went by after God had struck the Nile. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21 through chapter 19, verse 12. At that point, Peter got up the nerve to ask, Master, how many times do I forgive a brother or sister who hurts me? 7? Jesus replied, 7? Hardly. Try 70 times 7. The kingdom of God is like a king who decided to square accounts with his servants. As he got underway, one servant was brought before him who had run up a debt of $100,000. He couldn't pay it. So the king ordered the man, along with his wife, children, and goods, to be auctioned off at the slave market. The poor wretch threw himself at the king's feet and begged, "Give me a chance and I'll pay it back." Touched by his plea, the king let him off, erasing the debt. The servant was no sooner out of the room when he came upon one of his fellow servants who owed him $10. He seized him by the throat and demanded, "Pay up now!" The poor wretch threw himself down and begged, "Give me a chance and I'll pay it back." But he wouldn't do it. He had him arrested and put in jail until the debt was paid. When the other servants saw this going on, they were outraged and brought a detailed report to the king. The king summoned the man and said, "You evil servant, I forgave your entire debt when you begged me for mercy. Shouldn't you be compelled to be merciful to your fellow servant who asked for mercy?" The king was furious and put the screws to the man until he paid him back the entire debt. And that's exactly what my Father in heaven is going to do to each of you who doesn't forgive unconditionally anyone who asks for mercy. When Jesus had completed these teachings, he left Galilee and crossed the region of Judea on the other side of the Jordan. Great crowds followed him, and he healed them. One day, the Pharisees were badgering him. "Is it legal for a man to divorce his wife for any reason?" He answered, "Haven't you read the Bible? And that the Creator originally made man and woman for each other, male and female. And because of this, a man leaves father and mother and is firmly bonded to his wife, becoming one flesh, no longer two bodies, but one. Because God created this organic union of two sexes, no one should desecrate his art by cutting them apart." They shot back in rebuttal, "If that's so, why did Moses give instructions for divorce papers and divorce procedures?" Jesus said, "Moses provided for divorce as a concession to your hard-heartedness, but it is not part of God's original plan. I'm holding you to the original plan and holding you liable for adultery if you divorce your faithful wife. And then many marry someone else. I make an exception in cases where the spouse has committed adultery." Jesus' disciples objected, "If those are the terms of marriage, we haven't got a chance. Why get married?" But Jesus said, "Not everyone is marriage material or mature enough to live a married life. It requires a certain aptitude and grace. Marriage isn't for everyone. Some, from birth, seemingly never give marriage a thought. Others never get asked or accepted. And some decide not to get married for kingdom reasons. But if you're capable of growing into the largeness of marriage, do it. Psalm chapter 23, verse 1 through verse 6. A David psalm. God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I'm not afraid. When you walk at my side, you trusty shepherd. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. You serve me a 6-course dinner right in front of my enemies. You receive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. Proverbs chapter 5, verse 21 through verse 23. Mark well that God doesn't miss a move you make. He's aware of every step you take. The shadow of your sin will overtake you. You'll find yourself stumbling all over yourself in the dark. Death is the reward of an undisciplined life. Your foolish decisions trap you in a dead end. This was a daily reading of the Message version of the Bible, read to you by Bible in a Year.